Um, Welcome to Hard Facts. Let's talk about Nigeria, using Nigeria as a base and a focal point for what's happening in Africa. I mean, if we decide to start talking about the different countries and the different things that have continuously bedeviled or broken down in those countries, if you look closely, there's the hand of Esau. But let's take a quick breather. Once we come back, I'm going to start the conversation with Paula De Farasin. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.
There's a reason why over 1 million people tune into Hard Facts every day. We discuss in-depth stories with sources behind the facts.
The Lagos State High Court has convicted, suspended the Chicago certificate story. It's never going away, is it? Show with stories for the day.
You hear diverse voices and opinions.
Yeah, it's quite pathetic the way the country is going.
We distinguish each story accurately with analysis.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Africa is the richest continent in the world, I must tell you that. Yes, yet her children are some of the poorest. From the oil fields of Nigeria, to the gold and uranium of Mali and Niger, to the cobalt in the Congo and the oil wealth in Libya. Our resources fuel the world, but our people remain in chains. For centuries, the West has interfered, plundered, and destabilized. First through colonialism and now through neo-colonialism. But how long will Africa remain a pawn in global politics instead of a power in her own right? Recently, we heard the Nigerian government pushing for a permanent place in the Security Council at the United Nations. Very far from our reach, but one can only hope. Now, let me give you some context before I go to Paula De Farasin. Let's talk about the colonial legacy in Africa. Borders were drawn by Europeans at the Berlin Conference in 1884 to 1885. It forced diverse groups into one state, leading to some sort of instability. Now, let's fast forward to neo-colonialism. Western governments and corporations continue to control Africa through debt, through aid dependency, through trade imbalances, and control of strategic minerals. Yes. Let's use the DRC's example. The DRC holds over 60% of the world's cobalt reserves, key for electric vehicles, phones, batteries, your computers, you know. It's estimated at $24 trillion or even more. But then there's about $24 trillion untapped mineral wealth in the ground in the DRC. Despite this, 74% of Congolese live on less than $1.90 a day. Sounds like your country? Rebel groups like the M3 are allegedly backed by Rwanda and Uganda, with UN reports indicating that these countries benefit from illegal mineral smuggling, often with Western complicity. Underline that. Let's leave that and come to Francophone Africa. You all have experienced what happened with the three countries that decided to kick France out. There's been a pushback from Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. They expelled the French troops, accusing France of exploiting uranium, exploiting their gold, and other resources while failing to secure the region against jihadists. Let's talk about the debt trap. Africa pays over $70 billion annually in debt servicing. Much of it goes to Western and multilateral institutions. Let me even come to Nigeria. Oil dependence. Nigeria, obviously we know, is Africa's biggest oil producer. Yet, over 40% of our oil, or 40% of our Nigerians, I beg your pardon, live below the poverty line. That's old news. We all know this. Western oil companies like Shell, like Chevron, ExxonMobil, Total have operated for decades guess what? They've all been accused of environmental destruction, especially in the Niger Delta. Despite the trillions that we have earned from oil, Nigeria still imports fuel due to the refinery collapse, a cycle that has continued over decades. Let's talk about security crisis. There's been security crisis in all regions. We've all witnessed it if you've lived long enough. Most of the times, these crises are linked to international interests that benefit from this instability. Again, we can tie this to what's happening in the DRC. Who benefits? The phones that you carry, the computers, none of them are manufactured here. The gold that you have to travel to Dubai and Swiss to buy, the Swiss gold. Where did they come from? So someone obviously stands to benefit something. But let's leave Nigeria. Let's go to Libya. Libya under Gaddafi had Africa's highest human development index. In 2010, there was free education in Libya. There was free healthcare in Libya. There was subsidized housing and Pan-African projects. Have you seen Libya today? Just Google Libya, wherever you are now. In ruins. In 2011, NATO-led intervention backed by the US, UK and France toppled Gaddafi under the pretext of protecting civilians. Who was behind it? Guess. The one who's starving children in Palestine right now. After his fall in Libya, that's Gaddafi, Libya collapsed into a civil war. There began slave trade, markets. Some Nigerians have even fallen victim to it. And there's a serious armed militia rule. Many analysts actually argue that the West destroyed Libya to stop Gaddafi's push for an African gold-backed currency that threatened the dominance of the dollar and the euro. Before I go further, I want to bring to you my pastor, Paul Adeolu Adifarasin, and what he had to say a few days ago about what's happening in Africa. And this video is courtesy of the Rock Media. That's his church media. So we're going to play that video. If you're watching us, we're live on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can go ahead and watch it.
124 years. We've lost a lot to the crimes of misleadership for over 60 years. The crimes of false fathers against our humanity and our nationhood. God is going to give it back to us. You know how I know? The wealth over the shore on top that has been extracted to build Europe. Now China is trying to take it. And so is Russia. There's more underneath our feet than what has been taken out. Nigeria can become one of the most powerful military nations in the world. It can become, my guess, at least the third most powerful economy. It was headed there. It was eyeballing and moving in that direction in the 50s and the 60s. We are going to get it all back. Oh, you didn't hear me. I suspect that they will take their nuclear bomb and kill each other, the way they've planned for Africa to be the theater of war. So that that war of terror does not go to their shores. They want to keep that war on our shores. It's a plan and it is public knowledge. It's in records. Many files that were under 100-year classification have been released. But because we have no interest in history, because of Abacha and Ibrahim and those people, go and start reading your history books. Joseph Chamberlain, because he came from the ideological line of King Henry, the father of Elizabeth I, they decided in collusion with the Moroccan king and eventually with the Ottoman emperor that Africa, the Sudan, was one of the broad names, like Kush, like Ethiopia was the broad name for all of Africa. When the Romans named it Africanus, it was the right of a Roman general who conquered the north of Africa to name Africa after himself. So they nicknamed Joseph Chamberlain, Joseph Africanus Chamberlain, because he was the one who drew up the plan that Cecil John Rhodes, he was a devil incarnate, used to build apartheid into Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, South Africa, etc. It was an ingenious plan, but an ingenious plan of wickedness. That same man was the influence on George Tolman Goldie, another devil, and Lord Lugard, another devil. And we're putting names on streets of people who are living, instead of removing names like Lugard, especially from Western Nigeria. And Eastern Nigeria should follow suit or lead us. Somebody who ruined our existential possibilities. And we celebrate him. God forbid a bad thing. This has just put quarrel between me and my British diplomatic friends. But
and that's Pastor Paul Adeolu Adefaras in there speaking about the Western grip. And that's the basis for my conversation, Lagos. I know that we all have different perspectives on this issue, but I'm getting to my question. But let's quickly talk about general Western grip on Africa. Debt and aid dependency, which is going to be a subject that I'm going to deal with on Wednesday next week with my guest who's joining me from South Africa. Africa actually pays, like I told you, over 70 billion annually in debt servicing. You can tell from what we do here, how much we pay here in Nigeria. There's a trade imbalance. Raw materials are exported cheap, finished goods are imported expensive into Nigeria. Let's talk about military presence. US, AFRICOM, France, Sahel, UK, all maintain bases in Africa under the quote of security. But critics say they're trying to protect their economic interest in Africa. So if countries like Nigeria earns billions from oil, Libya once had wealth and stability, why do both countries remain trapped in crisis-led or crises that are tied to Western interference and Western interests? People ask the question, like, was the fall of Gaddafi in Libya a turning point in how the West intervenes in Africa's affair, especially for resource control? There are also questions like, with Nigeria's oil wealth, why does the country still depend heavily on Western companies for extraction and refining? Oh, I'm sure we all have answers to that question. How does debt servicing and aid dependency keep African countries under Western control? We can analyze this for hours, but my guest will do justice to that. But the most sincere question or serious question I want to ask this evening before I open the phone lines, I laid all of that foundation with statistics and information so that you know how to comment when you comment. Nigeria is rich in oil. Libya was once Africa's wealthiest state. The Congo has the world's cobalt. Mali and Niger have uranium. Yet we as Africa remain poor. Is Africa's problem foreign exploitation or African leaders who sell the continent out? Let's talk. 0201 277 0993 0201 465 7190. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. Let's talk facts. Let's talk logic. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello?
Yes. Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm Samuel speaking from the
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I feel like there's this psychology that they are playing off the minds of the African leaders through loan. I feel like there's this thing we say, when you give someone something, you become indebted, especially when the person cannot pay. So now I feel like they are gonna want to use they're going to use that that indebtedness, the leverage on it to exploit us. I just pray and I hope that African leaders will come to the realization or actualization and be able to. You
don't think that they realize and they're party to it, or you think that they're naive?
Yes, they are party to it. They are party to it because it's benefiting them directly. So they are at the detriment of we, the citizens. So yeah, and then like a physical behavior is what is actually is also what's contributing to that. But when there's a collective, I believe with a collective outcry, we'll be able to stop this, because if we don't come together as one to unite to stop that. It is going to continue to linger. It's going to be a very big caterpillar a cankerworm that will destroy us. I feel that is one strategy. Take an example of China borrowing us some funds that we know we cannot even give back. That I keep hearing conversations of people saying, "Oh, maybe it could be our next generation that's going to pay it off, this and that." You hear all those kind of things, and that is what they want. They want to keep giving. They search for our weaknesses. They use our weaknesses against us to leverage upon it, and then exploit us. So that's just it. Yeah.
Thank you very much for calling. And first on that list of our weakness is greed. Let's join the conversation. 0201-277-0993. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello, Maryann.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is the one of Odobolu.
Go ahead.
You see one thing that Africa needs, unity is number one, and single currency is number two. If they can unite themselves, as many as they are, and have one currency that control all the currencies that is in Africa, and speak in one voice, I think all these things will overcome it. Because all this wahala we are seeing, all this Boko Haram, all those this and that, the outside world are the ones sponsoring them. Because they know that if you are in peace here, they will not gain what they are gaining, and they will not save their market. So they make us not to be in peace, not to be united, not to have a single currency, so that they will use that to manipulate us and cheat us the way they are cheating us. If we can, African countries can come together now and stand in one voice and do one thing together, you see, we'll be more than progress as we are today.
All right.
Just that's what I want to say.
Thank you very much for calling, Eze. It's very interesting, and I'm not in any way begrudging any country that's big on immigration. But it's unfortunate that there's a lot of unrest in Sudan, in Afghanistan, in Iraq. I mean, I could call, and some parts of Africa. And there's no longer what people can call a good life on their shores. And so all of a sudden, the Western countries, and maybe even the Middle Eastern countries, I'm talking about, the likes of the UAE and stuff, become a bit more shiny for these people, and they do whatever, including getting on a dinghy and crossing the Mediterranean to go to England or to go to Germany or to go to France or even go to the US. And then you say, well, you can't come to our country. We're keeping you out of our country. But they're saying, well, you're not helping our countries to be stabilized. So, well, we're going to come to yours because it seems like it's a bit more peaceful. And so people ask those questions like, what is the West doing to help stabilize these countries? That way, it's easier for those people to stay in their homes. But then there are those who also say that why should the West help you stabilize your country? A Nigerian problem should be solved by Nigerians. A Sudanese problem should be solved by Sudanese. But what do you say about a DRC problem that has the hand of Rwanda and Uganda? And even some reports are saying, which was presented to the United Nations, that the West has a hand in it, supplying them guns. Why are you supporting these countries to destabilize the others? For what reason? And don't forget, while all of this crisis is going on, illegal mining is rife. And who benefits from this illegal mining? Where does it end up? I don't know if we stop and ask these questions or critically think, but what is the way forward? And I already asked that question. Are our leaders complicit? Are they greedy and in cahoots with the West? Can we bluntly say, well, the West is the problem? How about our leaders? And taking, into consideration what Paul Adefarasin has said, what are your thoughts?
Hello?
Turn off your radio.
Yeah, good evening, Maryann.
Good
My
evening.
name is Michael.
Hello, Michael.
Yes. How are you? It's been a while.
Yes.
Okay, I'm very passionate about this topic. Remember that black movie that sold more than anything else, Wakanda? It's a movie, but it's an epitome of what Africa can be If only, yes, their leaders have a hand in it, but beyond that, there is no way a ship will sink if the water does not come from within. So yes, the destabilization of Africa or the development of Africa is for the benefit of the West. We have to one day somehow, just like they are doing in the three Sahel countries, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, just like they are doing right now. If we can hold ourselves together, they will still try to kill the leaders that want to rise up to them, but we should not, because of fear of that, not try. Let us become an attacky. Let's come together and develop our country, our continent. Like you said, they killed Gaddafi because of this, but we cannot give up. Let's keep trying. It might not happen in my lifetime, but I wish the next generation the best of that opportunity. Thank you, Maryann.
Thank you very much for calling. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this issue. 0201-277-0993. Welcome to Hard Facts. Hello.
Hello, Maryann.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes. My name is David from Roxton, Ikoyi.
Go ahead.
My thoughts are this. Psalm 133 tells it all. And the last verse of that Psalm 133 tells us, there the Lord commands the blessing. So what you find in Africa is that we lack unity. We are our best enemies or our worst enemies. We don't love each other. We don't follow the Western life that we read, even in this Bible. Paul Adefarasin's church, Rock Out on the Rock, great church. Look at that wonderful message. But Fela Drotoye is in that place. Are you getting me now? And even those of us who will bring out this light, we commercialize what we are supposed to do. So it is the CSOs, the NGOs that will advocate this. The government has failed. Call PTA meetings today. You don't see fathers. Fatherhood is gone. So aside from the Western world, we are defeated as a people. But there's something that the Bible tells us, that in unity there is strength. The Yoruba tells the story of the broom. As it comes together, you know, when you have a bunch of broom, you sweep well. But the identity of a single broom pursuing a goal does not achieve the result of sweeping a home. So what we need to do is cleanse from the inside out. We cannot attack this. Gaddafi went down. All of our leaders were looking at it. Where is AU? The countries that are doing well today use that word unity. United States, United Nations. Even the multilateral organizations you mentioned, United Nations. You will see unity or united or something there. The Commonwealth. So you will see this thing. It is what we are lacking. We are not one people. Africa is a great continent, the second largest on the face of the earth. Your statistic concerning Congo DRC is not right when you talk about what is buried under it. It's 137 point something, 137.7 billion. I mean trillions of dollars. The wealth buried under that nation.
Yeah.
Or see it going up and coming down. One pastor who has done very well regarding that nation from Nigeria, seeing the wealth buried in that nation, is Matthew Ashimolowo. I want to stop there. There's a lot to say. We need to come together, and it starts from the home. The home system has failed here. So where do we start? What's the way forward? Unity. Marriages have failed. We need to come together. We need to start cleansing from inside out. And it's not about religion. I'm just using Christianity as a platform because you brought out a pastoral dimension to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for calling. I do appreciate it. I want to read some messages and then I'll come back. On Facebook, Wilfred says, the colonial masters don't want the brightest of us to be president because they won't be able to manipulate them. Bamidele Peter says, my African leaders have sold and still are selling us out to the West. The policies they implement attest to this. Thank you very much, Bamidele Peter. And Bidemi, thank you for watching us from Kaduna. We appreciate it. I want to quickly go to WhatsApp. Yes, I will play that video again as we continue in the conversation. Yomi from Maryann Okon says, Pastor Adefarasin and many others have talked about the issues affecting us, the black race. We're not Africa, we are Kush. We are rich in everything. Is God to be blamed for giving us all these resources? The greed of our stupid leaders. Wow. Oh, not all our leaders are stupid, sir. Why would you say that? Anyway, he says, The greed of our leaders got us into this mess. The way forward, we need to form our own system of government, form unity like Gaddafi said, have single currencies, trade together. We should do all to reject the Western forces in our land and nation, then deal seriously with wicked ones amongst us. How are you going to do that? There's not even a straight... We don't even have a hub per se. Traveling Africa is more expensive than going to England and the United States. I was having a conversation with Femi the other day about traveling Africa. I was having a conversation with someone in my house the other day too about traveling Africa. And when I told her how much it costs to go to Kenya, flying economy, not premium, not business class, she screamed. And I said, that's because we failed to plan to have borders that connect us as opposed to divide us. And I think on this station, I've said something about it. I interviewed a Nigerian pilot who lives in England. He flies BA, I think so. And he talked about something that we need to do as Africa for a connectivity to happen, so that flying into Africa, flying or traveling Africa becomes a little more easier. Kudos to the likes of Kenya for saying, if you're African, you've got an African passport, you can just show up into the country. It's visa free. A few other countries are saying, well, if you're my neighboring country and you're around me, you can also come into my country without, needing a visa. But why do I, as an African, need a visa to go to an African country? When in Europe, all they need is an ID card or something, or their passports, and they just walk through. Exactly. There's so many things that we need to address. Before we even get to the single currency, there's so many roadblocks. How about we start by dismantling them? Someone here says, our colonial mentality has actually not only destroyed our economy, also has destroyed our sense of humor. We assess ourselves with the worth of imported materials and wares. Our internal crisis is spurred by them. They please us with giving us loans under the Bretton Woods institutions. They gave us the Bible and the Quran to further divide us. We're enemies of ourselves. Momo, thank you very much for your message. Merchant Man here says, before now I was thinking the romance and preachings of the West about democracy was actually the best ideology until Gaddafi was eliminated and Traore became president of Burkina Faso and the West became aggressive, and they never frowned at the methodology that the Nigerian president rode to power became a thing of detest to me. They chose the worst evil people and fused them on us, and then they called it a democracy. Africa must reject the influence of what they call a democracy because they use the criminals as a conduit pipe to impoverish the people to our own detriment. I'm coming back to the phone line 020127709930 0201465790. Now there's so many questions that have remained unanswered. For example, where is the AU? And I think somebody asked that question. Because can Pan-African unity, like AU, ECOWAS, AFC, I mean, let's not even go to that AFC, FTA agreement. Because Africa is supposed to have free trade. But can Pan-African unity really free us as a continent from the chokehold of foreign interests? The fact that we're just dragging our feet, I mean, look at what's happening in the Cameroon. It's our neighboring country. Everyone's tight-lipped about it. Look at what's happening in several other countries that border us. Everyone's and who's going to point fingers at who when everyone on the table is complicit? We say, oh, we've got the ECOWAS, we've got the African Union. What exactly have they done that has helped Africa out of the rot that Africa has dug itself into? No, we're digging deeper into it. So where do we start from? Is it going to be us, the people, that have to begin to push for these things? And in what ways do we do it without becoming an enemy of the state? 0201-277-0993, 0201-465-7190. Welcome to Hard Facts. Hello?
Hello, Maryann. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from?
You have a particular by calling from Ikeka. First of all, where are the girls? Where is the third debate match?
Tomorrow, you weren't listening. Tomorrow, all the debates happen.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. You see now, number one, the question, and I listened to you last week when you made mention of Julius Malema's comment, in the Nigeria Association comment and the speech he gave. Mm-hmm. And the question is, remember, we need to be truthful to ourselves. Before 1884, 85, the Berlin Conference, how was Africa? Was there peace in Africa? Let's be truthful. There was no peace in Africa. Communities fighting community, bigger community trying to colonize the other community. That is how we have been. Nigeria is an example. The Southwest, the North, even part of the Southeast and the South-South. There were slave trades going on. You get? So that is one. So it's not easy when you just blame all the Oyinbos. That Oyinbos have done serious damage. No doubt about that. But we ourselves, are we genuinely interested in loving one another appropriately? The answer is no. So we need to check that. And the day, Unity brought somebody from Congo, I challenge him. Ever since Congo became independent, 1960, 1961, have there ever been peace? Right from Mulumba, the other guy, Kasabuba and Co. They've never been peace. And that has to do with their own DNA. Have they checked themselves? Let them check themselves. Because, okay, now, Oyinbo came, they told you Christianity. The Oyinbo people that told you sodomy is illegal, it is condemnable. Today, they are practicing sodomy. Definitely, you know that religion was just a political tool. They told you democracy, do this, do that. Look at what happened in China yesterday. China, Russia, and what have you. Are they not making progress as a people? So we need to do a soul searching and look into our eyes and tell ourselves the truth. The truth is that we ourselves, we need to start the reform from within. First of all, do we really love each other? The answer is no. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate this perspective. And that's why I kept asking, does he have to start with us? Because if we're looking to the leadership, might take longer than we expect it to. I still want to take some more thoughts, but I want to play that video again by Paula De Farasin. This time it's just going to be the audio. I'll just play it so you take a listen, and then of course we'll continue our conversation from there. Okay? Yes, let's do that.
To the crimes of misleadership for over 60 years, the crimes of false fathers against our humanity and our nationhood. God is going to give it back to us. You know how I know? The wealth over the shore on top that has been extracted to build Europe. Now China is trying to take it, and so is Russia. There's more underneath our feet than what has been taken out. Nigeria can become one of the most powerful military nations in the world. It can become, my guess, at least the third most powerful economy. It was headed there. It was eyeballing and moving in that direction in the 50s and the 60s. We are going to get it all back. Oh, you didn't hear me. I suspect that they will take their nuclear bomb and kill each other, the way they've planned for Africa to be the theater of war. So that that war of terror does not go to their shores. They want to keep that war on our shores. It's a plan. And it is public knowledge, it's in records. Many files that were under 100-year classification have been released. But because we have no interest in history, because of Abacha and Ibrahim and those people, go and start reading your history books. Joseph Chamberlain, because he came from the ideological line of King Henry, the father of Elizabeth I, they decided in collusion with the Moroccan king and eventually with the Ottoman emperor, that Africa, the Sudan, was one of the broad names, like Kush, like Ethiopia was a broad name for all of Africa. When the Romans named it Africanus, it was the right of a Roman general who conquered the north of Africa to name Africa after himself. So they nicknamed Joseph Chamberlain, Joseph Africanus Chamberlain, because he was the one who drew up the plan that Cecil John Rhodes, he was a devil incarnate, used to build apartheid into Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, South Africa, etc. It was an ingenious plan, but an ingenious plan of wickedness. That same man was the influence on George Tolman Goldie, another devil, and Lord Lugard, another devil. And we're putting names on streets of people who are living, instead of removing names like Lugard, especially from Western Nigeria. And Eastern Nigeria should follow suit or lead us. Somebody who ruined our existential possibilities. And we celebrate him. God forbid a bad thing. This has just put quarrel between me and my British diplomatic.
All right, let's talk. We've got 10 minutes on the clock. 0201-277-0993. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello, Maryann. Godman here.
Go ahead.
There's one word I want to pick out of this whole thing: slavery. And what's it that sponsors slavery, even when it started in Africa? The greed of the leaders, selling their people for mirrors and all those things. It's still going on now. So if we have greedy leaders who are ready to sell their people for anything, what do you expect? And then there's the slavery of the mind. Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. When you tell people third world country, second world country, and you guys take all that garbage and you feel you are less than them, from there, how do you want to get to a better place or even become their equal? So you see the mind games going on, and we accept what comes from them. Who is sponsoring the removal of history in Nigeria now? Who is telling Tinubu to go back to the national anthem that the colonials gave us? What's going on? The people, do you understand? Who is sponsoring all this? Why do when it's time for election, our leaders will have to go to what's that place in London or all those places? It seems as if that they want to bow to them and look, we need you. You can put me there. I think they interfere with our elections most times. Put their own people there so that they can easily control the whole thing. So that's why I just want to come back. Slavery. We need to emancipate ourselves, and it starts from the mind. We need to get out of that slavery mentality. So I'll just leave it there.
Thank you, Godman, for calling. I appreciate it. Tony from Marine Beach says, you're right. Africa is the Eden of the world, the richest, but people live in abject poverty. There's this thing called the conspiracy of the West that is intended to be a way to keep Africa poor, because the day Africa's eyes open, there will be a status reversal as the West will become the third world countries. What pains me is that our political leaders know this but continue to enslave themselves and those who lead so they can have peace and continue to misbehave. Nigeria and South Africa are the main targets because the day they get freedom, Africa is free. By the way, when you talk about gold, talk Nigeria, not just Mali. Nigeria's gold is very high quality, yes, and it's right under Zamfara and Plateau State. Yeah, I do know this. Thank you. Someone here says Pastor Farash and many others have talked about. Okay, I think I've read your message before. Thank you. Abe here says it's true. Is it true that Africa was cursed according to biblical records in the story of Noah by his 3 children who later established the nations of the world, Africa included? The son Ham, cursed by Noah, establishing Africa, starting from Egypt. If a continent or a person isn't cursed, why would one have fresh foods but decides to eat stale ones in the name of keeping them fresh for guests? You mean GMO? Someone here says more and more African countries are lifting restriction on Africans entering their countries. For example, the Republic of Benin is visa-free for Africans since 2018. Same with Rwanda, Ethiopia, and others. Thank you, Andose, for your message. This one's from Ayo, and he says, Neo-Colonialism, those who are giving us aids understand very well because of black man mentality. 95% of such dash outs will end in their countries due to looting. And he says, may we have real leaders. Someone says, bringing this topic now makes me ponder the reason why African leaders don't want to leave the seat of power. This proves that Africa is what she is because African leaders know the loopholes created by the West. For example, the West condemns corruption but has never rebuked African leaders by returning the looted funds to the West. Nigeria is still fighting for the release of Abacha's loot. They've released a lot, I must say. He says, I don't blame the West, I blame African leaders. We're getting there. Precious from Germany says, the world is a survival of the fittest. It's not just about Africa or Nigeria. If your leaders are greedy and not people-centered, they'll be taken advantage of. Look at Venezuela, Colombia, even Argentina. I personally wouldn't blame a thief that keeps coming to my house when my landlord keeps inviting and opening the doors for them. Precious, thank you. Pastor Biodun from Agor Palace says, the subject of neo-colonialism in Africa can never be overflogged. Many African leaders, Nigeria inclusive, align themselves with these models to gain global recognition and foreign support. Okay. Someone here says, someone just sent a foolish message. I'm just going to jump over it. Why do you people just wake up and do this? Someone says this will make a very good debate topic. Okay, seen it. Another person here says, our problem in Africa was invented by African leaders. Our leaders remain yes boys to the Western powers. Peter, thank you very much for your message. Please, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. Just think it in your mind or you say it in your house. Don't send it to a radio station. There's just some things that you shouldn't say. And this is the problem. You're not looking at how to solve a problem. You're looking at how to attack one another. How does that help us? The phone lines are open, guys. I have about 2 minutes to go. Hello.
Yeah, good evening, Maryann.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm Madoka from Festa.
Go ahead, Madoka.
Yeah, I just want to say that the problem of Africa is Nigeria. Nigeria was ordained to be the leader of Africa.
And where did they do the ordination?
Just listen now. And we kicked off. We are blessed with this black gold. We had it in our hands. We are prosperous. We're supposed to reinvest, develop our economy. When we had it, Naira was 1-to-1 with the pound. We were respected. But our leaders lack vision. Most African leaders, even Nigerian leaders, successive Nigerian leaders, including the one who have to, they all no vision. The truth is that if you are weak, the strong will exploit you, even on micro level, and macro level, and the micro and macro level. If you had invested that in productive activities, we are able to produce what the world needs. Well, we are having cocoa. Why don't you invest in the process of making chocolate? We were just exporting. We had the money to do anything we want. But we fought appetite. Today, South Africa is free, and we are nowhere. Nigeria failed Black Africa. Nigeria failed because if we had that power and we were able to buy equipment and arms, we will stand up to any country in the West and we defend Africa. So, if we are able to get a leader with a vision and plan, we will take back Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madoka, for calling. Someone here says, but a man told a story years ago as a young man. He said God created everything, including you people, in 6 days. And on the 7th day, he rested. So early morning on that day that God rested, his apprentice woke up and created a black man. That's why we're not complete. Well, I do not know about you, but I'm very complete. Kingsley is calling us from England. Hello, Kingsley. Hello. Kingsley, are you there? Sorry about that. You'd have to call us back, Kingsley. I'm going to take another call quickly because I do not have to. Okay, I can take one quick call. Hello. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You have 60 seconds. Yes.
Yes, this is Ghana from Ikudu.
All right.
See, the problem we are having in Africa is poverty just on the part of our leadership. Our leaders lack vision. They have forgotten that in every sweet word of benefit, there is a dagger, an evil dagger hiding in it. Are you hearing me?
I'm listening. Go ahead. You don't have too much time, sir.
Okay. So, what I'm trying to say is that Africans, we need to unite. We need to work as a family. Tribalism, religious discrimination is what have actually destroyed Africa. Look back down the memory lane, the time of Oyo Empire. People they were ruling themselves successfully. They were not depending on European powers, not until the European came. So, Maryann, we need to talk on this later. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling. This is an ongoing conversation. On Wednesday, I beg your pardon, we will take on the second part of the politics of aid giving. Yes, the aid that we receive. What are the what are the appendages, and is there a caveat? Is there anything tied to it? Especially because we continue to go hand in hand for these things. Anyway, I'm glad that you all indulged me in this first part of the conversation. We'll take a break. When we come back on the other side, we'll be talking ADC and the 2027 rush for power. Stay with us. Still Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. I'm Maryann Okon.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.